I am the country manager at TeamEngine South Africa. TeamEngine is a global business originating out of Sweden, and they have landed in South Africa this year. So be careful. We've arrived, and we are a collaboration software company. When I say collaboration software, we're talking about board portals today, because as we say, the buck stops with the board. Unfortunately, they really need the most help, but it's something that all governance and compliance organizations or groups can make use of and need to make use of in this modern cluttered era. So, how many of you have been kicked off a Zoom meeting, for example, and they're struggling to get back on and looking for the link, and then not knowing where you are and which page, because the page number that's on there is not the one on. Am I ringing any bells? Yes. Fabulous. So that's kind of a realistic scenario that we've all faced, probably worse in COVID times. Let me just show you a little what we're going to go through today before lunch. Only 3 agenda items. We'll keep it as tight as possible. We're going to look at some challenges and just the history of board meetings, governance meetings as such. And then look at board portals. What is a board portal actually? And some benefits. How does it really help you? How does it really help organizations? Some of you in this room have seen board portals, are using them. We'll go, okay, cool, I get it. I know what this is all about. Some of you, hopefully, haven't seen it. And this is the aim of this, to show what they can do and how they can benefit. And then, of course, just before we go and grab some lunch, to look a little bit into the future. There's been so much future looking so far in this thing, and you'll probably be happy to look at a little bit of history for a while, I hope. So let's take a little bit of a moment to look into traditional board meetings, traditional governance meetings, how they have been. I always say that there's 3 stages of evolution. You start off using paper, or you decide you're stopping using paper, then you get into a mishmash of technologies, and then you get to board portals. But paper, right? I think most of us have moved on from paper, I hope. But in many cases, it isn't. You know, you've got board packs that are being couriered to you, and then you lose the paper, or you leave it on the pocket on the plane, or you leave it on the printer. So paper, like trying to work through it, trying to figure out what's what, really not efficient anymore. You can find the stuff you need, really not super efficient. And then, of course, there's the security aspect, right? Especially board conversations, decisions, information. You need to take care of that stuff. That's your competitive advantage, your intellectual property. That's what you need to safeguard, right? So, again, leaving your board pack on the printer for someone else to see you, getting it in the plane. So, those are some of the challenges of traditional board meetings. And I know you're going to say, but we use email. Cool. So email. I think there's a stat, 2021, over 1 billion emails were exposed. So that means like 1 in 5 people have had their emails hacked. Now looking at this room, I think 20% of you must be a little bit nervous now. Should be. So email isn't the answer to being safe either. And then accessibility, right? So, yes, good old days, sit in a boardroom, everyone looks at the pack, reads the information. That's kind of gone a long time ago, really, and COVID, again, even worse. Remote meetings, hybrid meetings, I'm here, I'm jumping on a plane, I need to look at something, I need to vote on a resolution before I get on the 4-hour flight. I need to look at some documents. The board pack is heavier than my overnight bag on the plane. You know? Accessibility is a big challenge and has been a big challenge. And it gets worse, right? Compliance. Now, hopefully people will look up from their phones. Compliance, that's what we're all about. The weight of compliance. You look at regulatory complexity, it's increasing all the time. It's getting worse and worse and worse and more complex. There's industry-specific standards and frameworks, there's international, there's a myriad of complexities that add layer upon layer to your governance and to your compliance, right? Documentation requirements. Compliance requires meticulous documentation and robust report writing that you need to manage in some sort of way. Reams and reams of documents. They need to be managed and to be accessible and to be secure and accurate. And what is the risk of non-compliance? Yeah, it's not only financial, right? It's also reputational, potentially. It's really dangerous. You just can't not. I would like to think that you've agreed that compliance is not a nice-to-have. It's non-negotiable. I don't need to remind you about the Steinhoff scandal, I hope, where, in 2022, I think they got fined 220 million rand for administrative breaches. So it's not something you can really take lightly anymore. So compliance, right? You know about it, it's huge. What are the answer? Portals are the answer to everything. Actually, no, not quite. Portals, in general, the collaboration and collation of information is really what saves you in a single space. What is a board portal, in case you don't know? It's a centralized hub. It really is centralized. Everything that you need in one place. So from decisions to actions to information to history, all of that in a single space. Have they been around only last year? No. Let's look a little bit at the history of board portals. Some of you, again, who've seen it, are going, yes, I know this. Board portals have been around since the late 90s, actually, when there really was just paper and people were looking for a secure digital solution to managing boards. And then in the early 2000s, web became a big thing, so then they became web-enabled, increasing accessibility. And then mobile came in, and there's some mobile portals and mobile devices and all these, so the ability to work online, offline, etc. All of those started to come into board portals. Nowadays, it's not just meeting management and document collaboration, it's voting, and e-voting, e-signatures. So all sorts of different functionalities that are aligned to the governance effort, essentially. Let's take a look at some key benefits. Generally, centralized document storage, I've touched on this. Storage, repository, library, whatever works for you, it's centralized. And yes, you're going to say to me, yeah, but I've got Dropbox, I'm good. Yes, but your IT guy is also looking at the Dropbox. Just be aware of that. So, centralized store for past papers, present papers, past minute meetings, records of actions, minutes, policy documents, you name it. Okay, it's in a single secure space, and we'll talk about security a bit more. It's a centralized place. I know there's not too many company secretaries in this room, but how many of you have a very important meeting coming up in 20 minutes' time and you cannot find the document that someone emailed you or that you thought you saved onto your Dropbox? Okay? So, think of it that way. I say the guarantee of security. So these portals are, security is that important. They sit in secure spaces. Modern cybersecurity threats are on the increase. I was talking to someone outside, listening to Johan. We don't need to know more how dangerous it is out there and how much is going on. So security is of importance, right? You don't want to be emailing or getting emailed documents necessarily. You want to be able to have access in a specific place, access controlled. It's a one-stop shop, right? Centralized hub, as I said, it's a one-stop shop, right? How many of you have got a single solution for e-signing? Another one maybe for document storage. That's like, each one's got its own contract, its own service provider, its own support structure, etc., right? And these are similar functions. Centralized place, one-stop shop, one contract, one provider, one support line for these aligned functions. So a portal really helps you to minimize and become much more efficient. I want to look a little bit just into some roles again, just to dig in a little bit deeper. Again, you're not maybe the company secretary, but you're the IT audit manager or the compliance director, and you need to organize meetings again. So it's applicable across the board. You can arrange agendas in minutes very easily, change them from meeting to meeting, tweak them slightly. Pagination, PDF conversion, all these kinds of tasks that are time consuming and administrative but necessary to get right can be done very, very easily in the portal. Access control is another thing. Who has got access to my important documents? Have I sent the board pack to independent.director@gmail.com? And when independent.director decides to leave or gets booted, and he leaves with his Gmail and your documents, how do you get them back? Or how do you? So not ideal. Security, access controlled, you are on the board, you have access to this document, I give it to you, you click a link, it's there. There's no one emailing documents around, it's in the vault, the secure vault. And audit trail, of course, I think it goes hand in hand. We have to have audit trail functionality. We're not able to get by in a way. So now you can track who has received the information. You can even see who's opened and read the document. The problem is, of course, you can't determine whether they've understood what they've read. Unfortunately, can't have everything yet. Although, Johan, you probably disagree. There must be something in the W7P report that's going to. All right, so looking at that was from the administrator side, looking from the user perspective, right? I think I met Ben earlier from Nedbank. He's a user of the system. Now I can just access my documents. It's accessible to me wherever I'm at. I can work online and offline. So if I've got load shedding, bizarre. I mean, that never happens, but if it happens, and now I'm not able to connect to the internet, well, that's because I've synchronized to my iPad and I can have a look at the crucial information. I mean, we take a lot of that for granted, but as a board director who's busy, sitting on a lot of boards, has got a lot to do, those kind of advantages are crucial. Annotations, those of you who are sitting on boards, those of you who know people who are sitting on boards, you get a board document, you need to contribute, you need to make notes, you need to remind yourself what happened before. Where do you do it? Normally you print it and scribble on the pencil. If the pencil doesn't break and you've got a sharpener. Yeah, you've got the digital equivalent. You can make notes and annotations in a variety of ways on your document. They're private, they're yours. Again, Johan said we can see everything. I'll have to talk to my developers and see where we are with that. Essentially, you've got private annotations. You can share them with who you want, if you want, and you can transfer them from document to document if you change. It's super powerful, incredibly simple. Collaboration between meetings, right? What happened the last meeting? What did I say then? What has happened since then? Can I reference what I thought? I'll make my notes from where I'm sitting, on the plane. So from a board director's perspective, key benefits. And not to be outdone, the board chair. Board chair, poor, long-suffering board chair has to make sure that the meetings run correctly, that things go as planned, that they get value out of the meetings. So control and flow of the meeting. They know exactly what's happening, who's been invited. They can see who's RSVP'd. They can even see who's voted on certain aspects that have been asked to vote on. So they're able to monitor that very well. And managing governance activities, exactly that. How are people interacted with the pack? Have they got stuck in one particular place the whole time? If they keep coming back to a certain paragraph, they can, And in general, enhancing board performance. You're doing board evaluations, board surveys probably. It's a key requirement, especially in more high-profile spaces. Now you'll be able to make sure that the documents are correct, they've been updated, everyone can see them, you can see that they've been able to access. We touched a little bit on security earlier, but I want to dwell a little bit more because it is that important, as I said. And what to expect, I guess, from security from board portals. You'll have a lot of security concepts thrown in your face, and a lot of it is important. But I think you're looking for a certified provider, essentially. And what is a certified provider? Again, there's many certifications out there. Some are mandated by law, but I'll draw your attention to something called ISO 27001. Some of you may know about it. I see a couple of heads nodding. Maybe that's just because they're hungry and want to get to lunch. ISO 27001 is many things, but it's been audited and vetted by professionals, and it's proof that a company has implemented and is maintaining an information security management system. And you want that, right, for peace of mind. And obtaining it isn't actually easy either, right? It's a rigorous audit process, frequently, to make sure that you are adhering to the principles. And it's an international standard. And it's really a company that's ISO 27001 certified, shows that they are committed to the secure process, to the security of your data. That's really what I'm saying. What the future holds. What does the future hold, Jan? Problems. Yeah, so we've had a look at the benefits of portals. I hope you've got an idea, a better idea now. Those of you that thought your Dropbox and your Zoom were all you needed, I think hopefully you've thought a little bit more about it, and you're wanting to get one. But before we jump off where we've been and where we've at, let's take a few moments to peek into the future and see what we think the future holds for board portals. We see the analytics improving markedly, ability to analyze huge reams of data much more quickly, to see what behavior of boards are, what are directors doing, how they're voting, etc. To be able to really sort of get more insight and allow them, the organization, to feed off that in a better way and in a quicker way. Creation meets collation. I like it. So currently, the company secretary person is putting together the documents, grabbing inputs from all over the organization, collating everything, PDFing, etc., all happening outside of the system, and then presenting in a portal. We see in the future that this portal, in line with the one-stop shop concept, is able to have all of these activities taking place within security. So from inputs to refinement, to last-minute edits, to conversion of documents, etc., all taking place within the portal itself. Oh, Jan's looking down now. There we go. AI. Sorry, I'm picking on you, Jan, but everyone's been talking AI, Craig as well. But I think they've been scaring the shit out of you, actually. Well, certainly they did me, but we're not hopefully going to do that. We see positive aspects of it. I know that out of it, AI is not being painted completely as a baddie. In our case, how do we see AI influencing board software? Again, minutes. So again, those of you who are responsible for making sure that the minutes, which actually are the official record of the meeting, are delivered. Those can take days, even weeks, typically. Now you have the capability, or you will have the capability, to have a co-pilot that will analyze and condense the information within minutes. Actually seconds, but minutes in minutes kind of has a cool ring to it. So, yeah, but literally you could do that. So the minute process, most definitely. Summarizing the board pack, again, taking reams of data and information and analyzing it, again, within seconds. There's a lot of data and information that's out there. We've said it before, there's too much to go through. People then end up losing interest. was a study done by Gothenburg School of Economics that determined that 40% of information contained in board documentation is kind of repetitive, verbose. And it's probably just the good old cover your backside approach, right? We make sure we've got enough information, or we double up, or we triple up, you know? So again, take a tool that cuts through all of that. So that's a possibility. Data analyzed in seconds. Again, it's tons of data, lots of information over time. The ability for a machine to take that and crystallize it into succinct summaries. We see that kind of capability coming through in the board portal space with AI. So now, I think hopefully you're not too hungry yet. That's what we see with board portals. I think it's a case of you're either on Elon Musk's rocket or you're left in the dust at Cape Canaveral. There's really only two options. You need to get into this space. I've talked about it before. Paper, mishmash of technology, portal. You really need to be on that train, especially with the way it's going. At TeamEngine, we've been developing our software over 20 years, actually, late 90s. I have our CEO that's traveled all the way from Sweden. Please raise your hand. Our global head of sales, Joel Nunes, in the middle there. And I guess that's just a demonstration of the commitment from TeamEngine, really, how they want to make an impact in South Africa. But I'm here. And local is lekker, as we say. So, you know, that's a key part. We're all around the world, pretty much. But we have a local presence now. We've developed the software, as I say, over 6 continents, over 20 years, and continuing to develop it as we go.